Hello.
Hello, hello.
I'm here, but I'm cooking dinner.
My God, you can see my ugly ceiling. Just wait.
Oh, where did it
I
go?
get myself all set up on the camera and then I come to Zoom and everybody sees my garbage. So, well, I was running around trying to decide what little toys I wanted to shake with today, and I think I'm just going to wing it. Um, Hi, everybody. It's been a while. I have a new sparkly bright light, Candace. Hello, Miss Mira. Hello, Miss Kim, with your fabulous new locks of goldenness. First COVID haircut, and I can't remember how long.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a mess today, but whatever. I'm here.
I took a nice 1 inch. I have this dream of being all one length, but
Oh,
every day I do this, and then when I take it out, there's like gobs of my own hair in my dollar store glasses.
doesn't that hurt though? Oh God, that hurts when that
I'm stubborn.
happens.
I'm German. I eat potatoes and gravy and you know. Anyways, but yes, it's my own self poor habits. We all have them, and as you get older, there's just less hairs to be losing.
Yes.
So
The head's right there.
right. So it's Friday. It is I started this whole philosophy of workouts, where I'd kick your butt on Wednesdays and then it would be informational and feel good stuff on Fridays. But sometimes when you break it down into benefits, there's overlaps. Maybe you want to get fit and you've got bone density issues, and maybe you haven't gotten off the couch in a century and a half and you have bone density issues. So sometimes we're coming from very different places physically and in the programs that we're working with, but some of the goals in the plan are same. So whether you're dealing with a condition, a diagnosis, you think you have something you don't, sometimes our goals align with each other as users of these machines more so than a topic or a workout program I might feel is appropriate. So bone density is kind of one of those very large topics that many people do research on the machines for. The reason that you invest in vibration equipment, there's usually 2 or 3 different benefits or things you've heard or read about or other people have told you, and bone density is a pretty common one. I've got infants dealing with bone density issues right up to of course really severe osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and accelerated conditions. And really what the struggle for me as a trainer, and I'm going to ramble for a little bit, is I get a number of questions as this page grows and other forums. What's the best machine for bone density, or what's the best setting for bone density, or how long should I do for bone density, or how often should I do for bone density? And it's again just one of those benefits where I try to simplify and say it's not a vibration machine thing, it's a you thing and a goal thing. So what the machine is and how they are effective in improving bone density is they make exercises or activities that are good at increasing bone density easier. So a vibration machine is an environment, and maybe you're seeing a physio, and they're telling you, well, you've got osteoporosis, advanced stages. We want you to improve your balance, we want you to build some muscle mass, and of course, long term we want to improve the bones. And right off the bat, there's 3 things that the machine can absolutely help you do, but how you accomplish them individually sometimes is where we get hung up in our own heads. So spending time on a machine, bone density is, in my opinion, a side benefit of using a whole body vibration machine. So if you're able to be more active and use a platform longer because you're in better physical condition, you're probably going to have better bone density results. That they're going to be furthered by good nutrition sources, replenishing your body, for the nutrients it needs when you do activities, better sleep, good hydration. So bone density isn't a setting or a duration or a thing on a machine. But some of us don't really have the what exercises should I be doing, what kind of things should I be eating. So if I can establish this is just an easy way to do the work that you're supposed to doing. What I wanted to do today is give you a few examples of bare bones, easy way to kind of get the most bang for your buck. And for those of you that are more capable doing athletic applications, progressing and doing things like that, know that you don't have to do something special or separate. Just by doing your regular workout on the machine, you're also affecting the bone density piece. And as I shake, I'm going to elaborate, like I always do, a little bit more about how. Okay. I got me a new coffee mug today. Have to share that. I hope it's not backwards. Oh, it is backwards. It says everything in moderation. And I've said that a few times, but the last line says except coffee. Okay. So I have a seat for the platform today again. I've got a little bit of an angle here because I wanted to stop turning as much as I have been. I'm going to make my screen bigger here. Hang on. Mira the cat looks like she's about a centimeter tall. There we go. Okay. So we're going to fire up our units at, many of you that have been using the machine for quite some time. I'm not going to tell you what setting to use or where to put your feet. You should have established by now kind of what your comfort zones are. For those of you that are just starting out, there's a tendency to want to go slow. And if you're dealing with like osteoporosis or osteoarthritis, there's an underlying fear. This is a shaky machine. And, if you're dealing with poor stability or tinnitus or different things, standing on this thing while it's moving, I've said this before, you may as well be standing on the top of Mount Everest going through an earthquake. It's scary. And the biggest thing, and I'm going to say with bone density, kind of relate, we want to improve bone density, but it's a long-term thing. I'm sitting here yapping. Get your machine going at a mid speed or a mid frequency, depending on what kind of machine you're working with. So if you got 100 speeds, I want you in the 50 to 60 range. But I want you to bring your feet close to the center if you're a newbie starting out. Going slow on a vibration machine is a couple of things. You've got the speed and how fast you're going, but you've also got the amount of movement. So when you're dealing with fragile bones, pain from fragile bones and poor density, the biggest thing, I don't care what speed you use, but what I want is your feet or your hands close to the center. I want you reducing the amount of movement. And especially important if you're dealing with stability issues. If you're dealing with poor stability and you're standing on the plate and your feet are close to the center, you're moving a little bit and you feel like you're wobbling. But if you widen your feet to the end, there's a lot more movement, like a lot more movement. We're going from here on the average platform, maybe 1, 2, 3 millimeters. Some platforms stepping out here, you're going to 14. 11 millimeters. So the chance of destabilizing yourself is much greater. The big risk with osteoporosis, osteopenia, all these bone density conditions isn't that the machine's going to shatter or shake your bones or turn them to dust. It's that you're going to fall off it and hurt yourself. The biggest good thing about a vibration machine, sorry, I had a lot of conversations today. The biggest thing about a vibration machine and how it can help you is the first thing you're going to get better at by using an oscillating platform is you're going to have a dramatic improvement in your balance and your stability. So if you're scared of it and you're afraid, that if you stand on this thing, it's going to destabilize you and you're that uncomfortable, start with your feet on the machine, but sit in a chair. I've done this in a lot of sessions, but just so you can sort of feel, what's comfortable for me. This is too much action. This is not enough. And the big thing to remember is you're also dealing with other deficiencies. Maybe you've got a bad knee and a bad back. Maybe there's other reasons that, shaking at the widest, most intense foot placement isn't the best place to start. So, and the slow speeds on these machines, they're really slow when we start slow. The beginning speeds, they're very choppy, they're very wobbly. And when we're trying to do exercises relating to bone density or even just standing on the machine, we want to improve our balance. That's absolutely a goal. But what I don't want to do is destabilize you. So if you have good balance and you're doing balance type exercises, one-legged positions, you're probably going to be comfortable at those slow, choppy kind of rebounder speeds. But the mid frequencies, if you can, the mid speed ranges, depending on how your machine is levels, by bringing your feet closer and sacrificing a bit of the movement and get going a little bit faster, you can get the same amount of activity with less action. You're just going a little faster and not as far. I don't want to get this too complicated, but what you'll find when you get to the mid frequencies or speeds is they're a little smoother. They're less choppy. You can still sort of feel yourself moving back and forth, but less than those slow choppy speeds. And kind of once you've gotten to a mid range, Then you can maybe widen your feet up a little bit more if you want a little bit more intensity. If you're finding it's uncomfortable, it's too much, bring your feet closer to the center. So the safety, the fear, the biggest thing with bone density when you're first starting out on these machines is that fear of a fall. So I want you being 100% comfortable and understanding this environment, as I refer to it, as it relates to you, and only stand when you feel comfortable doing so. And maybe you have a machine with handles, or you can put a bar stool or a chair back, or put it by a counter. Maybe you just need something to hang on to, give yourself a little bit of assurance, and grab yourself if you do find yourself being unstable. So a little bit of bone density. I don't want to sit anymore, so I'm going to stand up. And building bones, if we look at ourselves as a being on this planet, we have a relationship with something called gravity. And there's a lot of talk about these machines and gravity and the cosmonauts and the astronauts. And, it's hard to sometimes follow truth from fable. But while I'm talking, we can stand on our machine, feet hip width apart. We're just at that mid speed again, and just start doing some slow pelvic tilts. The best way to improve your bone density, as far as what exercises should I be doing, Debbie, how long should I be doing them, is transitioning and interacting with gravity by bearing weight. How our body builds bones is by interacting with gravity. So on these machines, regardless of how they do it, there's lots of different types of movements and force levels, but essentially they kind of superficially increase your exposure to gravity. There's a lot of health benefits. Don't take my word for it. Never do. Go to Google, health effects, gravity. You'll be lost for days. But you know what? 40, 50 years after living, when we haven't done the things we're supposed to be doing, sometimes we got to pick up some speed, and the bones digressed, and, we can't ride the bike, and we can't do the treadmill. So where a vibration plate becomes an advantage with bone density is it's ultra low impact. If you are dealing with bone density concerns, or you're recovering from a fracture, a fall, low impact is key. But the other thing is it doesn't just have to be exercise. Just standing on the floor, is an exercise that therapists, stand up out of that wheelchair, stand up off the therapy, just by bearing your weight. That's your first basic exercise. Well, if you can just stand, and on the plate, you want to bend your knees a little bit so it's not wobbling you in the head. You kind of become a pendulum if you lock your legs, and all your movement goes to your head. If you've ever given yourself a dizzy spell, usually you've locked your legs or stood too tall. So bend the knees a little bit. Range of motion goes a long way to helping with your stability and reducing your ability to fall. So you can just stand there. I like to do some pelvic tilts, maybe some hulas, Maybe you really want to pick things up. We're bearing weight. This is the basic minimum. We're getting more benefit than doing the same stuff on the floor. It's that simple. But maybe I want to lose 10 pounds. Maybe I want to be stronger. I want to get better bone density, but I feel good. I want more. Okay, well, let's do more. Squat down a little bit. Get into a basic mid squat, depending on your range of motion. Don't have to move up and down. And what you'll notice is there's like a fire that starts building in your quads and your calves. Make sure those heels are planted. Now, once you're pooped out, you can stand back up. Whole time we're still working on bone density. We're still improving balance. We're moving lymph, circulation. That's really, as I say, just a side effect or side benefit of using these machines. To what degree you're going to experience results isn't a setting or a duration. It's very much related. That's part of it, but it's what are you doing? You want more results? You're going to have to apply yourself a little bit more. You want a little bit more in the shoulders and the arms, and you're not able to get down there on the floor. Well, while you're squatting, experiment just by adding your hands to your knees, and it kind of forces you to go a little bit lower. So I like to do that. You get a little bit of movement. You start feeling it in those arms. If you're able, lean over, put the elbows on the knees. This gets a little bit harder. I don't want you doing this if you got a bad back, or you just had some bunion removed or something. Do what you're comfortable. And if you're getting tired, just stand back up. If standing is fatiguing for you, you're dealing, with later stages of a diagnosis, fatigue is present, well, keep shaking, but sit back down. Take a little break. You know, so the whole time you're, you know, how do vibration machines improve your bone density? Interacting with them however you can. And I really think long term, in my experience with clients, even that have done the most moderate settings, you know, really conservative exercises, I really see the key is consistent use. I know it sounds like I say that about everything, but the reality is, you know, if you're doing it 3 times a day for 3 minutes a piece, who's to say that that's better than, you know, 10 minutes first thing in the morning? You know, do what fits with your lifestyle and your schedule. Many of my clients that are dealing with chronic conditions do use it for pain management or, you know, swelling, things like that, where they tend to be using the machine more often for those spot treatments, things like that. But what I will recommend is, you know, even that adds up. You're bearing weight, you're standing, you're interacting with gravity. I'm not here to teach you all those benefits, but you know, there's studies and studies of understanding about that. And again, I'm just going to kind of stress, to simplify, a vibration platform is an environment that superficially increases your exposure to gravity. You know, talking terms, and it gets really complicated with the math and the different types of machines, but you know, sometimes marketing gets in the way. But standing on the floor, your relationship with gravity is 1G. So if you're looking at a machine that is not exposing you to at least 1G, what's the point? You know, it's kind of a minimum threshold. And there are things out there, but the average machine on the market, the low energy oscillating and vertical machines, the average ones you're buying, you know, outside of the medical realm, they're going to range anywhere from probably a G to 5 or 6 Gs of overall force. I'm also not going to get into G force and sustaining forces, but there's a lot of study to prove the effects and the safety and efficacy of that. But, you know, to a degree, you know, think of it like instead of, you know, doing, you know, 3 manual squats on the floor, by increasing your exposure to gravity, maybe it's the equivalent of 1 on the machine. You know, I don't have the exact math. Everybody's metabolism, you know, things like that are different. But, you know, if you're able to do 1 minute of standing or 1 minute of squatting, bottom line, the machine's going to give you more benefit, not just for bone density and a lot of the things associated with that, strength and blood flow. It's just going to give you more benefit on the floor. And the hugest advantage, you know, somebody like me, I got into this with a bad knee, is sometimes it's not that we poop out because of the duration or we don't have the wind to complete a program or an exercise. It's that bad knee or that bad vertebrae. You know, I can keep doing this squat, but my knee's making me quit. So the advantage of these machines, once you kind of get your technique, and you might find a few exercises that are easy for you to find yourself doing regularly, you know, the consistent regular use of these machines in the long run, with bone density being a longer term benefit to accomplish, you're going to find the effects are going to be, you know, pretty good down the road if you just stick with it. You know, you're not going to get miracles in a day or two. And it's really tough to have that patience game sometimes. And we get bored. You know, so once you start using the machine, are there ways you can ramp it up and even get more benefits? Absolutely. You know, incorporate some weights. You know, this is I don't know, what is this? 10 pounds a side. So I just picked up 20 pounds. Pick up your you know, elementary grade kid and have them do a piggyback on you. But you know, while you're doing those exercises, making yourself physically a little bit heavier is going to make your muscles and your bones work a little bit harder. It's not going to give you big, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles, but you know, you'll fatigue faster. And if you find that, you know, you do have joint issues or you're dealing with chronic pain, but you want to get those muscles to a level of fatigue, to burn those calories, to build those bones, sometimes adding weight is just a simpler way to fatigue yourself and push those muscles a little bit harder. Exercise and accomplishing your goals, whether they're bone density, strength, weight loss, you know, isn't, you know, measured so much by how long you do an exercise. There's too many differences between our bodies chemically and our diets and many things. But you know, it's pushing your body to that point of fatigue, not just going through the motions. You know, your body gets used to anything. So push yourself how you can, often on your machine. And the biggest thing with bone density on these machines, again, is that low impact. You've got muscles pulling on those bones, strengthening on those bones, and they can be very effective, complemented with nutrition, sleep, the rest, of course, those things too. So that was kind of less workout today, and I'm really hoping more common sense thought around, you know, bone density is a vibration machine thing, but I think if you could do a little homework and if you understand a little bit about how our body builds and maintains our bone density, you kind of understand how the machine can be effective. It's a tool because it can accelerate the benefits in less time. And if you are working in a situation where you're only able to do slight weight bearing and you're not able to stand for long durations, sometimes it's the kindness of the activity, and it's something that you can actually perform over the effects of traditional exercise. And then again, of course, the big thing, I sound like an egg, but bone density when you're starting out, if you're the biggest thing is that balance and stability. If you take a fall and wipe out on your machine, you're not going to be any good to me trying to help you fix your bones. So do what you're comfortable with. Don't put safety completely aside ever. And work within the parameters of what you're comfortable with. If there's exercises you're specifically supposed to be targeting that maybe your therapist or your doctor has outlined, many of those exercises can be incorporated into the machine for more efficiency in less time. So think of it more as a tool than its own special thing just for bone density. There are tons of studies out there, lots of different types of machines, lots of different frequencies, lots of different protocols. No one was hurt. There was no ill effects, and researchers can debate all day, well, this was better, that was better. If we all walked into a gym today and we hired 5 personal trainers to build us a bone density program, we'd get 5 completely different programs based on what each trainer thinks is best. This one likes squats, this one likes, resistance, this one likes TRX, this one likes rebounders. So how you get from point A to B and what activities you choose to incorporate to increase your bones, many of them can be adapted to use in this environment. Think of it as an environment. So do your Pilates, do your yoga, do your kickboxing, just make sure you're stable. And then for the opposite end of the spectrum, for a lot of my seniors that are dealing with poor mobility, just make sure you've got something to hang on to, or maybe you're spotted by someone helping you use for the first time if you've never stood on your platform. But it is absolutely something that you should explore. It's going to give you the bone density, but quite honestly, short term, it's going to give you the energy, the strength, and other things long term to really get to the finish line. Okay, so enough of my ramblings. 22 minutes of me rambling on a position and a half. So, and we have Melinda here now too. And I have iPhone. I'm not sure who iPhone is. I assumed everybody could hear me because I heard Kim at the beginning there say hello to me. I wanted to kind of open up the floor to questions. This is the second time I've kind of done a chat on bone density. Oh, hello. So
I'm the iPhone.
You're the iPhone. She
The
has
iPhone.
her phone. But yes, sometimes there's new folks here, and I've had enough videos now that it's really hard to watch me ramble at nausea 24, 25 times on all my videos. So I just kind of wanted to bring some of you back. We haven't done a session specifically on this in quite some time. And if anybody is dealing specifically with bone density issues, good or bad, and has questions for me, I would like to open up the floor to anyone who might have questions. Anyone? If you do, just unmute yourself and start talking to me. No one?
I just want to let you know that no matter how bad my back's been, I'm still using my Vibe for relief and soothing. I'm not doing a lot of fitness on it right now because I'm doing a lot of walking. And that's why I'm in the situation I'm in, because I'm overdoing. So I just wanted to put out there that everybody has to understand that, we've been broken down for so long, and we're trying to all get strong and get balance and get fitness. It's not an overnight thing, but man, it does improve. I'm getting much stronger. I'm getting much more balance, but it's just, we all have to do it a little bit differently to the aches and pains and problems that we're all dealing with, right? We all have this like common ground.
It makes the hill a little less steep, I hope.
Yeah. Like if I can just stress to everybody, just go slow. I'm a terrible go slower. So I'm guilty. I hurt myself. I overdid.
So the reality is that Kim's hair got so long that it strained her back. Later on these nature hikes and rock picking and the mountains she's been climbing, but she had the Crystal Gale going on. Oh, I dated myself with that reference, but and that's a good point. Bone density, I get a lot of questions. What's the best for bone density? Sometimes bone density, like your back issue, maybe there's certain areas that are worse than others. You know what I mean? Or perhaps, you've had a treatment that has accelerated bone loss in a specific area, and maybe you're looking to target something. So, logically, if I have clients where maybe the deficiencies worsen the spine and the hips versus, so, sometimes, outside of what I was talking about generally today, sometimes it is about looking at exercises that target certain areas. And, as women, typically when we get older, we get the shoulders, we get the arms, bone density, we think about the hip. It's always about the hips and the back, because that's where they test. And if you fall, that's what you land on. But a lot of times we don't think about here and all the little bones in our hands and our wrists, and they become very fragile as we get older. And we don't tend to do upper body, we lift groceries and children all day long, but we really, for purpose, don't always specifically, try to do exercises targeting these until it's tank top season, and we have to show them off. So, standing is important. And a lot of times, even I'm guilty, I'm really pushing those squats and lunges, because so many of us have strength and weight loss goals, but, we don't all have the ability to get down on the ground. And for those of you that do, take advantage while you can. And for those of you that can't, maybe you're just lifting a couple of hand weights while you're doing your standing poses or your seated poses, but try to get in, instead of doing extra things, try to do more things at the same time. So it's not taking you more time. It's just, a little bit more coordination going on. I hope that makes sense. So that was my rambling. Lisa has since joined us. Hello, Lisa. I took the floor and rambled again, but I'm kind of at the point where if anyone has questions specifically related to bone density or something they're curious with or dealing with, feel free to unmute yourself and ask if you do have questions. I'm getting distracted with what Kim's making for dinner. You guys don't get to see my screen, I guess, to say maybe this. What are you making? It looks seafoodish.
I'm making prawns, steak, avocado, tomato and onion chutney, and green beans. Keto.
I made a big crock pot of pulled pork this morning. Massive.
Yum.
Enough to feed half the block. It's the weekend.
Yum.
I'm not cooking. Melinda she says that she's bad at going slow too, Kim. And everybody that's listened to any of my sessions,
yeah,
the mouth is never slow. And she says
that she
uses her plate all the time to brush her teeth. Oh my word. Funniest story. I've been doing this a long time in my little local small town. And many years ago, when I was trying to get established, I was the barter queen. I would barter anything for a vibration machine if I needed something. So I bartered with my accountant one time, a machine. And my accountant to this day has one in his office, one in his room downstairs, and they have one in the bathroom. And every morning, his wonderful wife, Bev, brushes her teeth and does her hair. And I remember going for a repair one time because it was having problems. And this machine was just coated in hairspray. And, by the time I cleaned it off and I got a good connection on the plug, we were good to go. So if you do use your vibration plate in your bathroom, good for you, because you've got good balance and things like that. But give it a wipe once in a while. It tends to get sticky. You got the humidity in there and you got electrical parts. So just my experience. I put these things into RVs. You wouldn't even believe where they've gone. So good for you. It is, you're standing there anyways. Why not shake it up, right? Good for you. Good for you. We should have a session one day of, craziest things you do on your vibe machines, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it would be a competition, but again, I'd probably ramble for days with some of the idiotic things that I've done and tried and hurt myself, right? If you get the hand on there and turn it into an, like an electric toothbrush action, I'd be careful with something like that. I have just come to my mind because I'm organizing band instruments for my kids for school here, getting back and so forth. And I have a trumpet player out in Saskatchewan, and I can't remember the tool. I apologize to all the horn players out there, but there's a tool that you can use to blow and condition your lips to keep them good for playing your instrument. And he has this whole little routine of standing on his machine and he does his lip exercises. You know, vibration is frequency, and frequency translates into a lot of different modalities and energy work. And you know, I encourage you, the reason I say experiment responsibly is, you know, you all have gifts and intuitions and different understandings, and sometimes what happens on these machines is those capabilities are heightened, and you know, your own frequencies become more in tune, and you know, some cool things can happen. So that's getting a little bit marshmallowy, and I'm getting a little off on topic, but you know, for all my chakra healers out there, you take a picture of those colors before and after you vibe and see how the rainbow just lights right up. I still have Miss Kim, aka iPhone, Mira Bates, Melinda, and Lisa. If you guys don't have any other questions, I feel like I gotta brush my teeth. All this toothbrush talk. I snuck me a pastry before I came down. You guys have an awesome weekend. I think next week we need to do, it's kind of the last week. I know in Canada, and I know some parts of the US, people are getting their kids back to school, and we'll probably not have much of a brain for about the next 2 or 3 weeks until routine gets into the groove. So if you guys ever have any suggestions, times, session topics, I tend to post these based on how the week has looked and the questions I've gotten, not just in this, but in my other groups. And a lot of the topics that seem to be circulating are very commonly linked with perhaps things that, you know, people selling equipment are trying to tell you. So no fear is here. And if you ever have any questions or you've had a bad experience with the plate, know that I'm here as a resource. And if you've got one and you're just too darn scared to use it, especially with my bone density crowd, that's why I exist. There's always a way to ride this pony in a fashion that's more suitable for you. So Kim, enjoy your steak. Oh, I might have to send this to you as a share for your page. Look at that, eh? Oh my gosh, I haven't even, like I said, I got the pork done. I just don't know what else is going with it yet. So enjoy your favor. Everybody have a nice weekend. Nice to see you, Melinda, Mira, Candace, and Lisa. I hope you had some value in spending some time with me today.
Bye, ladies. Great to see y'all.
Take it
Thanks,
easy.
Debbie.
Keep shaking.
You too.